Hey there, it's me, Nate, and today I want to talk about The Giver by Lois Lowry. And this was released in 1993, and this is actually a reread for me. I first read this, I believe it was back in elementary school, and how to say, I remember reading it and enjoying it, and being intelligent enough to get through it without any real difficulties. But now during this reread, I find myself appreciating it on a much higher level, in being able to feel the wronginess and better grasp all of the themes in this novel. But let's get into what The Giver is actually about. So this is, you could say, sci-fi or speculative fiction. I think speculative fiction is probably the more apt term to correctly define what this book is in terms of genre. So it takes place in the future. We don't know. Sorry, had a burp there. We don't know when or where exactly. And in terms of in the world, it's on Earth, but it's all in this community. The story takes place in this community where our main character, Jonas, he is approaching his 12th year. One of the things is that in this community is that they don't say 12 years old. All of the kids are all, they have the same birth month, basically. So every December, they have a ceremony where 1 through 12, they have a ceremony celebrating the ages going up of all the children. And 12 is a very important year because when you turn 12, you are basically considered an adult or in this community, because you are given your vocation, like your job, for the rest of your life. Whether that is to be a birth mother, a laborer, an engineer, or in Jonas's case, where he is selected to be the next receiver of memory for his community. And the receiver of memory is a very important position, because there's only one in the entire community. Basically, the receiver of memory holds all of the memories of the people from before the community and decided to move towards sameness. And sameness is basically how they live their lives. Because in this community, and I'm just saying community because there's no name for this town, there's no discerning aspects of this town, which is obviously, as you will read in the story, is probably intentional, because through genetics and through the culture here in this place, they've gotten rid of things like color. They have complete climate control, so there is no snow. People don't know, outside of fish, they seemingly don't know what animals are. They don't know that a hippo or an elephant is real. Children don't have toys. They have comfort objects, and they lose those at the age of 8 or 9. And they really stress on things like precise language. For example, if I said I was starving, I'd be taken to the side and told that was if a child said that they were starving, they would be taken to the side and be reprimanded, because you're not starving, you are just hungry. And they due to all of this and the way they live, it is almost utopic, because they've eliminated things like discrimination or conflict or crime. But as you progress, you see the darkness of this society, and Jonas, as he goes through his duties as a receiver of memory, he learns more about how things were before, and he then comes to struggle with how things are in his community and like what he's known his whole life, and it brings about a conflict to him. And as for his duties as being receiver of memory, he trains with the current, receiver of memory, who is an old man, and he is one of the more secretive, more reclusive elders of the society. And as the current receiver of memory, it is his duty to pass on all the memories he holds onto Jonas, so that way he can be the new receiver of memory going forward and be an advisor to the community. And so the current receiver, the old man, he now becomes, at least, when they're talking to each other, for Jonas, he is the giver, because he gives and passes on the memories to Jonas. And at first, he gives memories to Jonas, like the experience of like sledding down a hill, or the experience of a sunny day and seeing a sunset. And that's when Jonas first sees the color red. He, gets to learn what colors are. He gets to feel different emotions after having been like numbed and blinded by the society he lives on his whole life. But the giver also has to pass on to Jonas things like pain and suffering. And as Jonas experiences those, it opens up his eyes to the harshness of the society that he lives in, that weeds out the weak or those who don't fit in. As there's things like eugenics going on in the background, and there's this one particular scene that's that's pretty awful to read, and like Jonas has like his world shattered around him, and so yeah, outside of like Jonas and the giver, everybody is they're not even aware of how wrong or how strange this is, because it's all they've known. It's all that, generations and generations of people in this community have known. So to them, everything is correct and normal and proper. And the things that like Jonas is experiencing through the memories from the giver, to them, those would be like, improper or wrong or going against the rules. And they wouldn't even be able to like fully comprehend like the beauty of those moments. Let's see. But I think I've hit most of the things I wanted to talk about. I think, yeah, so like I think The Giver is a story that really, is very like, can be read by people of multiple ages. I know in some schools they assign The Giver to read, like in middle school and stuff. Like I said earlier, I read this when I was in elementary school, and I think as I've gotten older and as I've aged, I think I can experience, this story on a deeper level. So even if you've read this when you're younger, I think it'd be interesting to you and worthwhile to read it as an adult, perhaps, and re-experience the story and be able to like read between some of the lines on some of the things that happen and have a new appreciation for it, like I did. Now, as for my score, I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I think this is a great book. I think it's an important book to read. I think there are beautiful moments in it. I think there's tragic moments in it. And I think the ending leaves you questioning about what's happening. I know there's actually 3 more books. in the Lois Lowry calls the Giver Quartet, which I didn't know until I reread this, that, and I was like doing some research, that there was more books in this world. So I plan on reading those and potentially doing more reviews for those books as well, and putting them here on the channel. Now, this will be my last review, at least for a little bit, because I'm kind of, The Giver marks me being done with all of like my backlogged books that I had thoughts on. So it potentially won't be until next week or so, maybe the next week and a half, that I have my next book review out, because I have to read so I can put something out on here. So until next time, please like, subscribe, leave comments down below, either on The Giver or how I can improve this channel. And thank you for the time, and have a good day, and Merry Christmas, obviously. So yeah, until next time.